What is up, everyone? Welcome back to Top Chill Play. Shounen is the genre that built modern anime. The stories about friendship, perseverance, and the refusal to give up that turn millions of people worldwide into lifelong anime fans. Today, we are counting down the 10 shounen anime that did not just entertain their audience, they shaped them. These are the shows that you remember where you were when you watched them. The ones that gave you characters who felt like friends. The ones that you still think about years later. Let's get into it. Coming in at number 10. Bleach, 1000-Year Blood War. Bleach was always one of the most visually creative shonen ever made. TYBW is the version of Bleach that finally matched its potential. The original Bleach ran from 2004 to 2012 and defined a generation of anime fans alongside Naruto and One Piece, the big three of shonen. But the anime ended before the manga did, leaving the final arc unanimously considered the best material in the series completely unadapted. 1000-Year Blood War fixed that. Studio Pierrot rebuilt the entire production from the ground up. New animation directors, new visual language, new music. The result is a show that looks and feels like a completely different production from the one that aired 20 years ago. Every captain finally gets their moment. Every power that was teased across years of episodes gets its proper showcase. TYBW is the ending Bleach deserved, and the one its audience waited over a decade to see. Bleach defined the big three era of shonen. 1000-Year Blood War is the final statement of one of the genre's founding pillars. Number 9 is Haikyuu, the sports shonen that convinced millions of people who had never watched a volleyball game in their lives that volleyball was the most exciting sport on the planet. Shoyo Hinata is too short to play volleyball at a high level. He plays anyway. His passion, his athleticism, and his refusal to accept his physical limitations as a ceiling drive everything the show does. His rivalry and eventual partnership with the Cold, calculating Tobio Kageyama, is the relationship at the heart of 4 seasons of exceptional storytelling. Haikyuu works because it makes you care about both teams in every match. The opposing players are not obstacles. They are people with their own dreams and their own reasons for playing. Winning and losing both carry weight, because the show earns every single point. The animation of the volleyball sequences, particularly in the later seasons, is some of the most kinetic and spatially aware sports animation ever produced. Production IG understood exactly what this story needed and delivered it consistently across the entire run. Haikyuu is the sports shonen that transcended its genre. It is not a volleyball show. It is a show about what happens when you refuse to accept your limits. Number 8 is My Hero Academia across its first 6 seasons, the era that defined modern shonen for the generation that came after the big three. Izuku Midoriya is born without powers in a world where 80% of the population has them. His dream of becoming a hero is considered impossible, until the greatest hero alive chooses him as his successor and changes everything. The premise is immediately accessible for any audience, and the execution in the early seasons is exceptional. My Hero Academia introduced the superhero framework to shonen anime in a way that resonated globally. Western audiences who had grown up on Marvel and DC found the show immediately familiar, while veteran anime fans appreciated the depth of the power system and the sincerity of the character work. Seasons 3 through 6 escalate the stakes consistently and deliver some of the most emotionally charged arcs in modern shonen. All Might vs. All for One remains one of the most cathartic single fight sequences in the genre's recent history. My Hero Academia Seasons 1 through 6 represent the peak of what the franchise achieved. A generation found their gateway into anime through Deku. Number 7 is Hunter x Hunter, the shonen that refused to play by any of the genre's rules and became better for it. Gon Freaks wants to become a hunter to find his father who abandoned him to pursue the profession. The setup sounds conventional. Nothing about what follows is Hunter x Hunter consistently subverts the expectations of its genre while delivering everything the genre promises at a higher level than almost anyone else. The Nen power system is the most intellectually satisfying combat framework in all of Shounen. Every fight is a strategic puzzle, where creativity and preparation matter more than raw power. Two Nen users with the same ability level will be decided by who thought further ahead. The Chimera Ant arc is the pinnacle. 59 episodes of mounting dread and genuine tragedy that transforms the show from a fun adventure into something closer to literary fiction. Meruem and Komugi. Netero vs. Meruem. Gon's transformation. Every element of that arc is operating at a level the genre rarely reaches. Hunter x Hunter is the smartest shonen ever made. It defined the ceiling of what the genre is capable of achieving. Number 6 is Demon Slayer, the anime that redefined what action animation looks like in the shonen genre and became one of the highest-grossing franchises in entertainment history. Tanjiro Kamado's family is killed by a demon. His sister Nezuko survives, but is turned into one. He becomes a demon slayer with two goals: protect her and find a cure. The premise is classic shonen. The execution by Ufotable is anything but. Ufotable created a new visual language for anime action with this series. The combination of hand-drawn character animation with detailed digital environments and effects produce sequences that look more like theatrical cinema than television anime. Every major fight raised the bar for the entire industry. The Rengoku arc, the Sound Hashira arc, the Swordsmith Village arc, each season delivers at least one sequence that the internet cannot stop talking about for months. Demon Slayer is the flagship of modern shonen animation, and it shows no signs of stopping. Demon Slayer changed what the world expected from shonen animation. Every studio working in the genre today is responding to what Ufotable built. Number 5 is One Piece, the longest-running and highest-grossing manga in history, adapted into an anime that has been airing continuously since 1999 and shows no sign of stopping. Monkey D. Luffy ate a devil fruit that made his body like rubber. His dream is to find the legendary treasure called the One Piece and become the king of the pirates. The crew he builds around that dream, the Straw Hat Pirates, is one of the most beloved ensemble casts in all of fiction. One Piece is about freedom, about the right to live the life you choose, to dream whatever dream you want, and to find the people who will stand beside you and protect that dream. That message, delivered consistently across decades of storytelling, is why the franchise connects with audiences worldwide, regardless of age or background. The recent Egghead arc and the beginning of the Elbaf arc represent Toei animation, finally delivering the cinematic quality this story always deserved. For anyone who dropped One Piece years ago, 2026 is the moment to return. One Piece has been defining a generation for 25 years. It is not finished yet, and the best may still be ahead. Number 4 is Attack on Titan, the shonen that crossed the boundary between genre entertainment and prestige television and changed what the world expected from anime. Humanity lives inside enormous walls to survive giant humanoid monsters called Titans. When the walls are breached and Eren Yeager watches his mother devoured, he swears to kill every Titan alive. 4 seasons later, the story has become something no one watching episode 1 could have predicted. Attack on Titan did not just define a generation of shonen fans, it defined a moment in global entertainment. The show was discussed alongside prestige dramas, covered in mainstream media, and watched by audiences who had never touched anime before. It proved to the world that animation could tell stories of this complexity and emotional weight. The final arc is the most debated conclusion in the history of the genre. Regardless of where you stand on the ending, the journey that preceded it is one of the most complete narrative experiences anime has ever produced. Attack on Titan redefined what anime could be for a global audience. The generation that grew up with it will never forget what it felt like to watch in real time. Number 3 is Naruto Shippuden, specifically the Pain Arc and the Fourth Great Ninja War, the most emotionally powerful arcs in one of the most beloved shonen franchises in history. Naruto Uzumaki started as the unpopular orphan with the demon fox sealed inside him, who dreamed of becoming Hokage so someone would finally acknowledge him. Shippuden is the story of that boy growing into someone who could carry the weight of the world. The Pain Arc is where that growth reaches its first peak. Naruto's return to the village during the Pain invasion is one of the greatest single moments in shonen history. The build-up, the music, the animation of that specific sequence, everything aligned perfectly. Fans who watched it live still remember exactly where they were. The Fourth Great Ninja War arc closes the book on decades of character development for Naruto, Sasuke, and everyone around them. When Naruto finally reaches his peak power and fights alongside the person who spent years trying to kill him, the emotional payoff is enormous because the show earned every step of it. Naruto Shippuden defined the emotional language of shonen for an entire generation. The friendships, the rivalries, the losses, all of it still hits. Number 2 is Jujutsu Kaisen, the shonen franchise that inherited the mantle of the genre in the 2020s and has done more with it than anyone expected. Yuji Itadori swallows a cursed finger belonging to the King of Curses to save his classmates, and immediately becomes the most dangerous and most hunted person in a secret world of sorcerers and supernatural monsters. Mappa animated his story with a cinematic ambition that made every major sequence feel like a theatrical event. The Shibuya Incident arc in Season 2 is the defining arc of modern shonen. The scale, the stakes, the losses, the animation quality, and the emotional devastation combined into something that the entire anime community processed together in real time. Characters who had been built across 2 seasons were gone in minutes. Nothing was safe. Season 3 continues the culling game with the same uncompromising approach. JJK does not protect its characters because they are protagonists. The world is genuinely dangerous and the show refuses to pretend otherwise. That honesty is what separates it from most of its contemporaries. Jujutsu Kaisen is the flagship shonen of its generation. 3 seasons in and it continues to set the standard that everyone else is chasing. And the #1 shonen anime that defined a generation is Fullmetal Alchemist Brotherhood. This is not a controversial choice, this is the correct answer and the data supports it completely. Edward and Alphonse Elric attempt human transmutation to bring their dead mother back to life. The attempt fails catastrophically. Edward loses his arm and his leg. Alphonse loses his entire body and survives only as a soul bound to a suit of armor. Their journey to restore themselves leads them into a conspiracy that threatens every life in the country. Brotherhood does everything the shonen genre is supposed to do, and does it better than almost everyone else. The action is creative and emotionally charged. The world building is layered and consistent. The philosophy is genuinely engaging. The characters are fully realized, from the protagonists to the antagonists to everyone in between. The final arc brings 64 episodes of setup to a conclusion of surgical precision. Every character gets their moment. Every theme gets its answer. The ending is not just satisfying, it is perfect. Simple and human and completely right, in a way that decades of shonen storytelling had been building toward without knowing it. Fullmetal Alchemist Brotherhood is the standard. Every other shonen on this list is outstanding. Brotherhood is in a category of its own. If you have not watched it, stop whatever you are doing. It is the greatest the genre has ever produced. And that is our top 10 shonen anime that defined a generation. Which one shaped you the most? Drop it in the comments. I want to hear the stories. If this list reminded you why you fell in love with anime in the first place, hit the like button and subscribe to Top Chill Play for daily anime rankings. I will see you in the next one.